Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Another week, another edition of Hidden Tracks. I'm here today with Connor James of the, I'm not going to say it because I'll let him do it, but the name of the band is June Body out of Canada. Connor, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's totally our pleasure. I want to get down to something that we want to start out is, I didn't want to say it, but because I don't want to be the one to genre label. If you had to put a label on the band June Body, where would you genre label yourself?
That's so hard. I was actually just talking to someone about this today, and we say alt rock, but I also don't really know what that means. And I don't think I should be in charge of deciding what genre my music is. I think we should just put it out to the public to vote on what our genre is.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I think it's funny talking to like a bunch of bands and everybody, and like alt rock comes up a lot. And for me, I'm a 80s, 90s kid. Like I'm an older gentleman. Gentleman, I'll use that term loosely. But so alt rock, alternative rock to me is something completely different. So nowadays that people are hopping onto this is alt rock, because I think it removes that moniker of where, like you say, if you say pop punk to something, the word pop to me means accessible. That just means it's accessible to a wider variety of people.
Right.
Do you think that alt rock moniker makes it accessible to more rock people and punk people and emo and math and shoegaze? Do you try to put it into an encompassing thing like that?
I think ultimately why I use it is because it designates that ultimately what you're going to get in your ears is rock music. But it's not, to me, if something was just labeled as rock, it would be that kind of like polished radio rock.
It's not your mother's rock and roll.
Yeah, I guess so. Or maybe it's just my way of like convincing myself that somehow it's different. I'm like, what if I put alt in front of it? Then it's different.
Totally.
So, I don't know, but I always find this so hard. I used it when I was trying to come up with like an Instagram bio. You know, our bio is alt rock trio interested in hearts and brains. And I was like, okay, well, alt rock is just sort of this easy thing to say. So I just went with it, but I really don't know how accurate it is. And I shouldn't decide.
Well, I think one of the problems is that there's so many different subgenres of a genre now that people just don't know. But when it comes to trying to introduce somebody to something, I guess it's to steer them a little bit in the right direction. You know, you come to that fork in the road and, all right, alt rock, and it has all this, you know, you go on Bandcamp and you click on alternative rock and all these subgenres pop up. And you start clicking on them and you start finding music. And then a lot of times I'll listen, I'll be like, yeah, that's not the definition of what shoegaze is, and it's under shoegaze, but it just gives it that broader spectrum because there's so many subgenres nowadays. But
there really are. And I am certainly open, you know, after someone listens to this and then they listen to our music and they're like, dude, you're not alt rock. You know, please message us and with a better genre, because I have no idea what my music is. It's kind of pop rock. It's kind of, I don't even know. I'm going to stop spewing out labels and just get the public to tell me what it is.
Yeah, it's just good music. And I think nowadays where people some people want to be labeled into a certain genre so they get a certain amount of plays, but that's neither here nor there. I
Mm.
want to get into some better stuff. He recently released a new album. I'll tell you first how I found you, and it was on that Bandcamp popping around a couple years ago. Found you, listened to the whole thing, then did what I do because I am a physical being and ordered vinyl right away. And it was just like, I love it's like Christmas morning when one shows up at the door, and I'm like, all right, now I listen to it digitally. Now I listen to it how I want to listen to it. And I was all in. So thank you for creating.
Yeah, of course. Did you say you found us just on Bandcamp?
Yeah, on Bandcamp. A couple years ago, I found you on Bandcamp and immediately listened to the entire album and then purchased it right away.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks.
So how did June Body start? Like what I know it was kind of supposed to be like this solo project for you, but it morphed into something bigger.
Yeah, that's right. I started it actually when I was living in Toronto in about 2016. But it was really hard to form a band there. It can be kind of difficult to maintain connections in a city that big. So I kind of made this like 3-song, almost like it ended up. We released it under the moniker, but it ended up almost being like a demo tape that I used once I got to Halifax to try to attract other musicians to join a band. And then I put an ad up online. It was a Kijiji ad. I don't know if you have Kijiji in the United States. Do you have Kijiji?
I mean, if we do, I've never heard of it, but I'm also not the most savvy of internet guys to search around on other stuff. I stick to my lanes of what I know.
Right. I think it's a Canadian thing. It'd be like Craigslist or something.
Okay.
I put an ad up on there just being like, looking for a bassist. Here's the 3 songs that I have recorded, and this is what it sounds like. And kind of got some weird replies. But then I got one reply from someone named Alex Callahan, who came over, and we kind of pulled out guitars and started, trying to work through songs on the couch. And he is still our bassist and backing vocalist today. So that's how it started. And he joined on in the middle of recording our debut album, Star for You. I was recording that with a friend of mine, Will Irvin, and we were trying to track the bass parts ourselves. And we were like, this sucks. Like, this sounds terrible. This is so boring. And so Alex couldn't have come around at a better time, because he was able to hop in, and we just threw it over to him to come up with his own parts, and he did.
Now,
so
did it change anything? Yeah, did it change anything of what you were thinking it was going to be? Did it did you have a vision, and then when you finally got someone to do it, you were like, oh wow, so this takes me in a different direction, and it's better than I thought it would be?
Absolutely. Yeah, it changed my perception of the songs largely, because there were new. Well, I mean, he injected vocal harmonies, and the bass parts were kind of different than I was imagining in my head, and way better. And that kind of signaled like a shift for me as a creator, as someone who ended up after that becoming way more open to letting my songs go to other people in the band.
So, I mean, you brought up Toronto being, hard to keep in touch with people, and we've had people on the show before from Toronto. And I mean, so what's the main difference between your music scene in Halifax as it is to Toronto?
Well, in Halifax, it's like everyone knows everyone. It's such a tight-knit scene, but that doesn't mean it's a small scene. It's extremely vibrant, but the connections are there, and maintained really intensely. I found in Toronto, it's just such a sea, right? Like, there's so many people.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have come from elsewhere. So it feels less like a music scene and more like a music ocean.
I
and
understand.
that can have its upsides because there's just way more opportunities. But in terms of feeling like you're part of a community or a scene, that's really what Halifax is like.
Now, I know things have been a lot different with, we call it, I've been calling it the Big C, which transpired over the past 18, 19 months, wherever
Mm-hmm.
we are right now. And timeline, I don't know. I don't give a fuck anymore. But as a band that I think at the time when Star For You came out and there was some traction, and I saw it on some playlists and stuff too, that once we started getting into what we all went through in Canada was a lot different than what we were here in the States. Because there's a bunch of us who are just dickbags. And what was it like as an artist at that time when you had created something and you were possibly working on something new after that as well? And I mean, again, as I said at the beginning of this, recently released new album. How did that all come about?
Well, I mean, when the Big C happened, we were right on the cusp of like going in to start tracking this new album that's out now. So it ended up being like quite a delay. I feel like it's, we've been almost ready to facilitate this new album for, like almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing, is just being, we were like road testing the songs on tour and really honing in on what the project was going to be. And then to have that kind of just sort of simmer for a long time was really hard. But mind you, the way that the Big C occurred in Nova Scotia, the province that we're operating out of, was actually like quite good. Like it was never at this really like critical point ever. So everyone in the province was like extremely responsible to a degree where we were able to have these periodic lifts in lockdowns and stuff, so that the band was able to reunite quite frequently and come together to continue to build the songs to where they were. And then when we realized that we might be separated for a long time, we started working on an acoustic project called Negatives, and that was recorded remotely between me and our bassist Alex. So that was kind of like our Big C project.
Kept you sane through it all.
It did, and honestly, it opened up like a new door, because the response we got from our fans was that they actually really loved the acoustic renditions of songs, sometimes even more so than the original.
Yeah, well, it's a whole new song, and that's where I give people a lot of credit when you actually take your art and you created it one way, and you're basically essentially taking the same thing but recreating it, giving it new life. It's the same thing as I say, if you sit down and read the lyrics to a song while you're listening to the song, it takes on a whole new meaning, and some people are afraid of that.
I could see why they'd be afraid, because maybe if you're like a perfectionist or something. But I'm like the complete opposite of that. Like I'm such a fan of art being what it is, like in that moment of the artist's life. So now that acoustic EP for us is like a document of precisely where we were in April of 2020.
Yeah. It's that time machine that I talk about all the time. What music is. It's that time machine. It's the closest thing we have to it, is an actual time machine. You know exactly what you were doing when that came out.
That's an interesting concept. I like that.
I mean, I think about it all the time. I mean, you put on a song, you remember the first time you heard that song, if you were driving down the road with your friends in high school, or you heard it sitting in your room one night, like it's transports you back. That's why it's so fucking amazing. That's why it really is amazing. Music is so powerful.
What's cool too is I was actually chatting with our bassist Alex the other day, and he said when the album came out, he was like, yeah, I was just listening to it, and if I feel like I would change this and that, if I could re-record this and change this tone. and and I think he like maybe used the word like mistake at some point, and I was like, I really don't think of it as a mistake. It's just where you were at that specific time when you were
Yeah.
recording that. And that's what makes the recording special, is that you'll never get that ever again. Like an artist will never be able to replicate any given recording.
No, and I mean, if you have that option too, I mean, you would think about every band that's ever recorded anything. They'd go back to their, if they thought their first release was shit, they would go back and re-record it and do it, because now they're better musicians. They're at different places in your life, and it won't take on the same tone or feeling that it originally had anyway. So when you start changing something like that, if you go back and you think you made a mistake somewhere, then and you want to re-record something, you'll just change everything about it, because you're essentially trying to play the same exact song, but just as a, I don't know, more seasoned, or have a different thought in your mind. Maybe now you're married, before you weren't, and you're going through a breakup, and like, just there's so much stuff that goes into that's it's tough to also critique what you've already done yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, but my favorite albums, often the reason I love them so much is all the little mistakes in them. Or they don't even, as a listener and as a fan, they don't come off to me as mistakes. They come off to me as elements that make that particular album really unique. So
Yeah.
if the artist went back and adjusted everything and re-released it, I'd be like, oh. But I want to hear the door creak at the end of the last song.
Yeah. But somebody, and I mean, that's when it comes to, I mean, you brought up, perfectionist, and that's someone who created something, and at that time they may not have been a perfectionist, and now they are, and they're like, I have to redo everything I did and pull out the little fuzz out of here. And I try to do it too when I'll sit down in post-production of one of our shows, and I'll be like, I gotta do as best I can to remove some background noise, and then I'm just like, what the fuck does it matter? In all honesty, unless if it's really taking away from what it is, it's not going to be 100% perfect, like we're sitting in face to face.
Right. And it also is so inhuman to assume that any piece of art is going to be perfect, because if it was, it just wouldn't be interesting.
Well, I thought in today's world everybody had to be perfect, otherwise we get canceled.
Well, we do have to be perfect.
All right, I want to get into Connor, yourself, and start with your journey in music. And for me, the change is when you're a small child and you hear something that you weren't doing a sing along and chorus at school or something, and you heard real music for the first time. Do you have a moment as a child when you heard something that completely changed your thought about music and kind of brought you on this journey to start?
Yeah, absolutely. It was my dad had a copy of the Nirvana Black album. I think it was like a greatest hits album or something.
Okay.
And he would put that on in the car. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was just like a really little kid. It just flipped everything on its head.
How old were you when you heard that? I mean, you don't, you can say in single digits. You don't have to throw out your actual age if you don't want to. I don't want to, no ageism here, but
yeah, I guess like, I don't know, like 6 or something, like a little kid.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I mean, when you hear that, I mean, do you remember like what it felt like to hear something? Because I mean, Nirvana, for me in the 90s, I was in high school when it came out, and I mean, it changed. I mean, to watch how everything changed because of that. And I'll be perfectly honest, I've said it on the show before, I don't think I've listened to Nirvana since high school. Like, I get how important it was, but at the same time, I just didn't. I'm like, yeah, okay. In Utero, I'll always say like that album is fantastic, and more people should have gave it more credit than it deserved. But
I think that's their best album.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it down and I'll say that's my fact. I'll create my own. That's my fact that In Utero is their best album, and I've listened to a couple things here and there from it, but I mean, I don't think I've ever really sat down again and put on a Nirvana album.
Right. Well, actually, it's funny you say that, because I think the only Nirvana album that I'll actually put on my turntable is In Utero. Actually, that's not true. The Live at Reading album I listen to a lot.
Okay. Now, when you hear that, I mean, what's your next exploration, or what's your next musical moment from there? How does that work?
Well, at one point, my parents bought me this, like, remember those old like MP3 play? Like there was like cassette players and like Walkmans and stuff. But then when MP3 players came out, those little like blocky ones from
Yeah,
like
you could,
random companies.
yeah, from like Radio Shack, you could fit 18 songs on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the one they bought me had like a microphone like built in, and you could actually record songs onto the MP3 player. And at that time I had like just bought a guitar, or rather my parents had bought me a guitar that I wasn't even really interested in playing. To be honest, the only reason I asked for a guitar was because my best friend got one, and this really cute girl started taking interest in him because he had a guitar, and I was just so jealous that I needed to have one as well, because I thought that was gonna like win this girl over, I guess.
That's your in, man. That's your in.
But so anyway, I guess I was just sitting around and like had that guitar and just started messing around with like recording onto this MP3 player. And that's how my like recorded music career started. I wonder where that MP3 player is now. If someone's like cherishing it and listening to all these stupid recordings.
It's in the attic somewhere, but it's got to still be around somewhere, which would be awesome to find out.
Be.
Yeah, has to be. Now, did you take lessons, or was it just something that you like? Okay, they got you a guitar, and now you're just going to listen to sounds and create your own sounds, or how did that work?
I did take guitar lessons. I took guitar lessons with this awesome teacher. His name was Tony V. And when he would change his guitar strings, he would like cut the ends off and like fold them into V's.
Okay.
So he would, and so like obviously when I first started taking lessons, I didn't know how to change my guitar strings. So he would do them for me, and he would obviously do the V on all of the strings, and he would do it for all his students. So like we would have like recitals where everyone at the music school would have to like play a song, and you could tell who all the Tony V students were because they all had V's on their headstock.
I mean, I wonder if that was his real name, because that's kind of a badass, guitar teacher name, Tony V. No, I got a Tony V from,
Tony V. Well, it was probably some like long Italian last name, like Vitrioli or something like that, but no one ever knew.
He was just Tony V.
Tony V.
Hey, listen, he could have been in the witness protection program and knew how to play guitar and came up with a new career. You never know.
Yeah. But this was just like a bona fide guitar player. Like he had that kind of like long hair. He was like super just like skinny and lanky, and wore like, he had like a carabiner with like 10 million keys dangling off of it. And like he had like 8 Ibanez guitars.
He was a professional.
Yeah, he really was. And he was awesome.
Well, see, that's awesome. A shout out to Tony V. That's
Tony V.
So if you're taking guitar lessons and you're when did you find your own music? Your dad played Nirvana. When did you start to find your own music that you started to cultivate and say, this is what I like to listen to?
I guess like probably in early high school, when like Napster was a thing, and then like iTunes and whatever, just kind of exploring mostly based off of word of mouth. But to be completely honest, like when the first time I was really, my eyes were open to this whole other world of music was when I moved away, like in first year university. I moved in with one of my really good friends from high school. His name's Jordan, and he just had this huge like eclectic taste in music, and just showed me like, now I'd say like if I cited off like my top 5 favorite artists, I guarantee you maybe even all of them were shown to me by him. So that was
That's a
like kind
great
of like,
friend. I mean, when it comes
yeah,
down to it, that's a great friend. And that's where a lot of it starts too. Like, I mean, somebody has to find it from somewhere and to share it with somebody too, especially sometimes people, when you take true ownership of something, especially music over a band. I mean, it's hard to force people to like what you love so dearly and wait for someone to be like, yeah, no, that's okay. I'm not into that.
yeah. Yeah. Also, in this case, it was really lucky that we had pretty much identical taste in music.
And what kind of taste was that? What were you listening to at that time? What did he start to show you?
Like a lot of alt rock.
There it is again.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, he was the one who showed me like Elliott Smith,
Mm-hmm.
or the one who basically, like, the one who told me to actually take the time with an artist like Elliott Smith. But we'd also listen to like a lot of trip hop, like Massive Attack, Portishead, a lot of electronic music. I'd say like half the stuff I listen to be honest, is like electronic music. And then the other half is just a random assortment of alt rock.
Elliott Smith, my story with Elliott Smith is very funny. I was, a punk kid and, loved punk and emo and post-hardcore and hardcore music. And I remember seeing this CD once in a used bin in the 90s and just liked the cover because there was an old drawing of a race car. And I was like, oh, Heat Miser, that's a cool name. And I get it. And like, wow, I really like this. And then a couple of years later, Elliott Smith starts to do his thing. And I'm like, that voice sounds a little familiar. I'm like, and then I go back, I'm like, holy shit, it's the same guy. I'm like,
it's him.
I'm like, wow, this is way different.
It's way different.
Different.
I saw Elliott Smith in an interview talking about the Heat Miser stuff. And he was like, yeah, I can't listen to that stuff anymore because it just sounds like I'm singing with like a cold or something, like I'm sick all the time.
But it was awesome.
No, it certainly was. But I feel like he's one of those really self-critical people. And everyone hates their voice from any other day other than the current day. Like you listen back to your vocal performances from like 5 years ago and you're like, that's horrible.
I hate my voice every day. I hate my voice every day. So I hate it tomorrow. It hasn't come yet, and I hate my voice tomorrow. So it is what it is.
I hate my voice tomorrow sounds like a 3 Days Grace song or something.
I just think it's an awesome new name for a band. I'm literally typing in to trademark it right now.
Hate My Voice Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey, we're Hate My Voice Tomorrow, alt rock band from Boise, Idaho.
Look at this. Look, now we're creating together. This is amazing.
Is this a collab?
This is definitely a collab. So you're finding music, you're at university. When did you want to do something with music? Was it when you were taking these amazing guitar lessons from Tony V? Was there a thought in your mind that, this you would want to create music one day, or was it just to get the girl?
Well, no, once I started actually playing guitar for real, it was certainly not to get the girl. Although, what's funny, and this is actually kind of bullshit, but the friend of mine that got the guitar and got the girl, he stopped playing guitar and still got the girl, even though I kept playing guitar and got pretty good at it. So I just wanted to say that.
Wow. So the guitar had nothing to do with it. Fuck.
I guess so.
And here you are in a band.
Here I am making absolutely no money in a band, and he's probably a lawyer.
Married, 3 kids, house on the coast.
Yeah. Happily ever after. No, you know what? I don't think I actually I don't really know when it clicked that I was like, you know what? I actually want to try like building a career out of this, but I don't even think it was that long ago. Like, I think it might have been like 2014 or, know,
I was going to say Tuesday,
2015. Yeah.
last Tuesday.
Yeah. This week when I noticed a little bump in streaming numbers, I was like, hey, we could do this.
This might be something.
Yeah. No, I think for a while I thought I wanted to be an actor. Like I grew up with, like an acting background and was, doing theater productions and, some like commercials and stuff. And I was like, oh, I think this is what I wanted to do. But something broke and I started, like, my songwriting just started to get way more interesting to me. And I became so much more invested in it. And I became so enthused by the process of trying to, plan and facilitate like albums and recordings. And a lot of my friends were doing similar things and we were, bouncing off of each other. And it just, now it's compulsive. Like it's obsessive. Like I can't picture my life now being void of trying to advance this art.
Now, when you started playing, besides recitals and stuff, like, was there a point where, I mean, for a lot of people, it always starts, you have a friend on the streets playing, and then you want to start this band and you want to do stuff. Was there any of that popped up, in your teen years when you were starting to get into things?
I think it was like playing in the open mic scenes. Because I started playing, when I think I was probably like 17 when I started kind of being involved in the open mic scene in Ottawa. I grew up in Ottawa, and I just met, some of my one of my best friends now. Like I met him at an open mic. Actually, this relates to our conversation about Elliott Smith, because how I met this guy was I was at an open mic. His name's Raph, by the way. He's probably going to listen to this. So hi, Raph.
What's up, Raph?
What's up, Raph? Raph Finn, great artist, great guy. Check out his music, rapffin.bandcamp.com. Little plug there. So it's the end of the night. He's like the last performer, I think. It's like 1:30, 1:45 in the morning or something. It's open mic. I'm like packing up my stuff to leave basically. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll listen to this guy or whatever. And he starts playing like a really obscure Elliott Smith song. It was, I think it was Let's Get Lost. I think it was the Elliott Smith song, Let's Get Lost. Anyway, he starts playing it and I'm just like baffled. And so I start singing along and he's looking around the room like I can hear someone singing along with me type look. And he kind of like locks eyes with me and sees that I'm singing along to the song. And we start chatting after the show. And I have an Elliott Smith tattoo on my ribs. And I was like, dude, like I'm an Elliott Smith fan. I'm lifting up my shirt at the bar to like show him the tattoo. Like the bartenders are looking at me like, what are these guys doing? And the rest is history. So
and still great friends to this day off of Elliott Smith deep cuts. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We still talk every day. And I think that's really what started to get me invested, was just meeting all these amazing people in this scene. Because, even though it was like, we were just playing open mics, like it was a community and it was a scene. And I feel like now coming to Halifax and feeling that sense of community again, but amongst like, bands.
Yeah.
Putting shows together, and I have that feeling all over again. It's just a bit different this time around.
Yeah, well, that's how scenes start, and it's the community around it and putting things together yourself. The DIY world of things, but it's also that community, and it's also being able to and you touch back to what's so important to me and why music is so important is you meet someone who's one of your best friends now, and it's all because of music. It's a deep cut off of Elliott Smith that no one but you in there knew it.
Well, I was the only one in there, so I wasn't the only one in there who knew it.
There was bartenders. You said there were bartenders.
Oh,
so you weren't
true.
technically the only.
Yeah.
So see,
yeah,
let's calm down with you being the only person in there.
I just didn't think bartenders counted.
No, they always count. Listen, hey, I wouldn't be able to get as drunk as I do without them. So,
but no, I mean like, Okay, so here's a question. Let's say I book a show and I go to play that show and there's only the bartender there when we're playing. Am I playing for an audience of 1 or am I playing for an audience of 0 because technically that's staff and they didn't actually pay to get in?
Well, there's free shows. People do free shows.
But,
So
okay,
you're
so what
playing
if it's
to
a
an
paid
audience
show?
of 1.
It's one.
So you're saying because they are paid to be there but didn't pay to be there, they're not an audience.
Do they
I
still
don't know,
count? Because they're obligated to be there due to like an employment.
No, there's still an audience. You know why? Because they have ears and they can hear what's going on, and that's an audience, and you're playing audibly to them. They're an audience. I count them as an audience. I
Okay.
do. That's
I'll take that optimistic answer.
yeah. That's my line in the sand because you have someone listening to you. Then you would just be playing in your bedroom. So you have someone who may have never heard you before that could be a new fan for your next paid show when they have off.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's the way you got to look at it, man. Always positive.
Here's another question. Does it count if I'm
who's doing the fucking interview here, man?
I'm taking the reins right now. If I'm playing in my bedroom and my roommate can hear me playing, should they be paying for that experience?
No.
Okay.
No, because you
so
just
I shouldn't
decided
be
to
demanding money from them.
Absolutely not. I mean, listen, if you can work out something, rent wise, say, hey, listen, I gave you, I get 0.0000001 cent off of every stream on Spotify. You just heard me. So like do 8 songs, the tax man's coming through soon and there's going to be a bill to pay.
I like this. But I mean, my roommate's also a musician, so I hear him just as much. Actually, probably more. So, if anything, I owe him money.
Then call it a wash. Then just say, hey, listen, we're doing it for each other.
We even? Okay, cool, man.
We're even. We're good. All right, let me take this thing back over. So you talk about writing songs and doing things like that. How did you learn to write a song, or when did you write your first song, and what was the name of your first song?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, how did I learn to write my first song? Was probably just by playing a bunch of covers, and then there was a style that came out of the different like shapes and tendencies of those artists that I was covering.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first? No, I actually do.
Don't shy away. Tell me the name of your first song.
Yeah. I remember it. It was an instrumental. I didn't sing on it, and it was called "Waking Autumn."
All right. Is that due to the season or a person?
I don't know. I just thought it sounded so cool.
Great. So now I'm going to live in mystery for Waking Autumn.
Yeah. You know why I remember it is because I was just visiting my mom recently in Ottawa, and I would make these like CDs for her for Christmas, where I would just like record, all the like I would record like cover songs and songs that I'd written. And that's how I got my start like recording stuff, is I would just like make these CDs for my mom. And I didn't realize
your mom's name Autumn?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm trying. I'm sorry. I'm
No, then the song would be Sleeping Autumn, because presumably I would be like putting them to sleep with how boring it was. It was a really boring song, but I didn't realize that, she'd been stockpiling all these CDs that I made. So when I went to visit her just recently, I like opened up this random drawer and all the CDs were in there. And I was like, oh my God.
She definitely has that fucking MP3 player, man. She definitely has it then.
I think I sold the MP3 player to try to get money for like another guitar or something.
But then she doesn't have it. Then some random guy or girl right now is just jamming to your
just
stuff you're recording.
Rocking out to like the OG June Body.
Do you remember your first ever live performance?
I mean, if it would have been that guitar recital,
Not recital.
not recital.
Not
Okay, so like
recital.
my
Not something
first
you had. Not something Tony V made you do.
got it.
Because you'd end up with concrete shoes in the Atlantic Ocean or Lake Michigan or Lake Ontario.
That's right. Yeah. Now I'm just picturing Tony V as like a character from The Sopranos. Like he's just one of those really.
He's like, you're gonna do this recital. You gotta do it right fucking now. I'm gonna break your fucking legs.
Listen, there could be a very talented guy in the mob who loves music. Like you don't know. So
We just don't know.
we just don't know.
To be honest, no, that's tough. Like it probably would have just been, an open mic or something. And I was
first
probably
concert?
deathly nervous.
Oh, well, I mean, if you weren't, I'd call bullshit. But do you remember the first?
I still get so nervous. God.
Yeah. Do you remember the first concert you ever saw? Like, did your parents drag you to somebody?
Yep. I remember I was sitting in the nosebleeds in Ottawa at the arena. At the arena there, and it was to see Nickelback.
Wow, this is weird. That's like the second Nickelback reference in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, they're a national treasure there, right?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, they're something.
And that was because they wanted to see it, not you, right? Or
no, I was fully into it. Yeah, it was crazy, like pyrotechnics and everything. It was pretty awesome. They have one like pretty good album.
Sure. Next, let's. I'm sorry, I have to get away from it. Like,
just
for some reason,
from it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna fix all that in post.
We don't need to give them time.
No, we don't need to give them time. They're fine. I think they're doing just fine without us.
I think they're doing just okay.
Now, do you have from performing and doing everything you have, do you have a favorite performance that you've ever had that you've done that like is, kind of what you hold yourself to?
Yeah, definitely. Or there's one that really stands out to me, and that's when we went on our last tour, which I guess would have been at the end of 2019. We played in Ottawa, my hometown. So there was like a lot of my really good friends and family who were there. It was a sold out show, and people just went crazy. Like it was so heartwarming. And, there came a point where we like came down off the stage, like onto the kind of like dance floor area or whatever. And like my guitar is like bumping into people. And, there's some pictures from that show where people are they just have so much joy on their face, and I'm throwing sweat out of my hair, like onto their faces. And they're like, yeah, like rubbing it in.
Okay, so Wuhan had nothing to do with the Big C.
No. It was the June Body show in Ottawa.
It's sounding like it to me right now. I think we just flipped everything for conspiracy theorists. I found the answer. Here it is.
Maybe that should be our new bio: alt rock trio who founded COVID-19.
Connor wisping his hair at people as sweat flies off and they're lapping it up.
That's lapping. Yeah, that was the show though. That was so fun.
Awesome. So, when you have that feeling, that's that thing that you just wish you could bottle it and drink it in every time you're feeling, like nervous or upset or what do I do this for? That's that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just so cathartic and gratifying. Yeah, and we've had that a lot here in Halifax too. Like the people who come out to shows here are just wonderful. And actually, you know what? Another amazing show that we had was our first ever like kind of longer tour as a band in 2018. We played a house show in London, Ontario. That was just incredible. It was just ruckus and like, someone standing like less than a foot away from me, and like I'm like spitting on their face. You know, that's what it's all about. Just makes
Yeah.
it worth it when there's all those people, you know, there, you know, and just having so much fun. And when those memories are kind of like, it almost feels like it's never going to happen again, because not that that's actually true, but just because we've been away from that for so long, like it almost like my brain has tricked itself into thinking that that is, you know, something that was only going to happen in that time period and never again.
It feels unattainable again, but it's still there.
I'm not going to think like that. I'm not going to think like that. I'm staying optimistic.
Exactly. I said before, think positive.
Yes.
So here's a question that I like to find out, to truly find out who you think you are. Now, if you met someone, you're out one night and you start talking and you tell them you're in a band, and you tell them the name of your band, and we already went through the genre labeling thing, but what song would you play for them of yours that would say, here, this is who we are?
Great question. I think now, after our new album is out, I would say it's the last song on the new album. It's called Ashes. And the only reason I say that is because I think it kind of like epitomizes where we are in a lot of ways, just structurally, and what it sounds like. It just sort of incorporates like all our elements as a trio. Like the vocal harmonies are there. It passes between the sort of like long, sort of tender verse into a really punchy, gritty chorus. You've got some really fuzzy like bass features. So I think that would be it. Yeah, Ashes off of the new record.
And would you say that's your favorite song that you've recorded to date? Or would that differ from something else?
Ooh, I don't know. There's another song on the new album called Tangled String that is like kind of an outlier on the album. It's really fast paced and to the point, structurally kind of different. And I think what I like about it so much is the recording process. During the recording process of that song, when we were doing vocals, there came a part that I was supposed to sing one way, and then whatever reason, in that moment, I just started like screaming, kind of like maniacally. This one, like during this one part, and something just like kind of came over me, and I just really pushed it, and it almost sounds like this sort of psychotic yell, and we just kept it, and that's like what's on that track. So yeah, I feel like recording Tangled String was really cool, and I remember doing that vocal part, so that sits in my memory.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, that's how magic happens, man. You don't know it's coming, and then you're just surprised, and you're like, "Wow, that worked."
Yeah, the magical mistakes.
Yeah, here's that ace you were looking for.
Yeah.
Now, playing and touring and doing things like that, was there ever a band that you either opened for or they opened for you that you like sat back and watched them play and were just like, holy shit, they're awesome?
Oh, that's another great question.
And it doesn't take away from anyone else that you may have ever toured with or played with anywhere. And I always want to preface that. It doesn't take away. I'm just saying, like, sometimes there's a band that you've, been around and you're just like, fuck, they're amazing. Like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the ones that really come to mind, like, I mean, there's a couple. I think one of them like doesn't really play anymore. But they were called Species of Trees. They were the band that we toured. They were like a math rock band that we toured with in 2018. They were great. And then another band, they were called The Great Diversion. I think they're based out of Ottawa. They were incredible. Like, really, I think they just put out a new record fairly recently, and it's just so. They won an award actually in Ottawa for like best production on a rock record.
Wow. Alt rock or rock?
It's actually alt rock.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to clarify that for our listeners.
Not alternative rock.
Just
because alternative rock is actually different than alt rock. Did you know that?
I mean, sure.
Like at this point,
yeah,
I can basically just say anything.
Yes, right now. I mean, listen, you took over the interview. I took it back. Listen, we can do whatever we want here. We have that
chess
luxury.
Match.
Yeah, this is really what we're doing.
You know who's going to hate me saying it's a chess match is my dad, because his job is like he's like an international chess arbiter. So he like runs chess tournaments, and he hates when people use the chess match reference.
Now that's all I'm going to use, and I hope he listens every week.
You're going to change your logo. It's going to be like Hidden Tracks, and the background's just going to be like a rook or like a knight or something. I can't even remember did you ask me a question?
I don't even remember now. So, I mean, hey, listen, this is what happens.
Oh, yeah. The bands that we played with and that blew me away. Yeah. The Great Diversion's awesome.
Hidden Tracks went off the tracks for a second. We're good.
Off the tracks.
All right, so it was Great Diversion. So we'll move on from that one. Then we're going all over the place. This is spacey. It's almost like
I'm loopy.
I feel my poor dog has vertigo. Now I feel like I have vertigo. So
I'm sorry, your dog has vertigo.
Listen, he's 14 and a half. He's already paralyzed. There's a lot. Listen, shit's bound to go wrong. It sucks. Neither here nor there.
That's an old pup. All the best to them.
Still love him. So here's a self-reflection question and a something of what you've already curated in life, and when it comes to your music. I mean, what's the feeling like when you get, I don't know, someone like me that reaches out to you and just says, "Hey, I want to know more about you." Like, how is it as a person, a creator, a content creator such as yourself, an artist, when you get, we're in the world nowadays where it's, 100 people respond, 99 of them are positive, one of them is bad. I mean, what would you harp on more, that one bad, or me, someone like me reaching out to you and being like, "Hey dude, you're awesome. Let's talk."
It's everything, honestly. Like it's honestly what keeps me like moving forward with this like positive perspective, is people like you reaching out, wanting to do something like this. And even just someone, like when someone messages me on Instagram or something and is like, "Hey, just want to let you know, your music means a lot to me. Keep doing what you do." It changes my whole week. Because it's like making music is such a solitary thing. Like most of the time I'm just in my room writing songs that I like, and I'm like, I don't even know if this is good. I don't know if anyone could even possibly relate to this, but the truth is there's a lot of people that can relate to what I'm doing. And so to get someone to reach out who wants to talk about it, it's everything. Yeah.
And I mean, the big thing when it comes to stuff like that, and I've said it plenty of times here before in the show, is if anyone out there listening, if you ever have an opportunity and something that moves you, whether it be a photographer, or anyone who's putting themselves out there, such as a musician or photographer or anybody, painter, tell them, if you think their stuff is good, there's so many ways nowadays to just fucking tell somebody. But for some reason, I think people get scared about it.
Yeah. Or people have this idea that they think they're going to like reach out just to say, "Hey, I really like this." And the person on the other end's like not going to have time for them. Or the other person on the other end's going to think that they're trying to get something out of it. But that's really not how I look at it. And from my experience, because I actually do it quite often, where I will message people and be like, "Look, I love what you're doing." And the response is always just like, "Oh my God," like, "Wow, thank you."
Yeah. And
so
again,
I totally agree. Do it. Reach out to to people if you like what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you just said that you get that one, it keeps you going for the week. And I mean, I think that's more of what we need in today's society, is that little bit of positive, because you never know what someone's going through, and just being like, hey man, you're fucking talented. I love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And just like, you don't have to become best friends. You don't have to do any of that. It's just giving that acknowledgement. It's kind of that same thing. If you're at work and you have a good day at work, and your boss tells you did a great job today, that kind of motivates you to keep going for a while.
It really does. Yeah. I work part-time at a restaurant, and we have something called gratitude hour. So from 9 to 10 p.m., it's gratitude hour. So within that hour, you go around to everyone you're working with. At some point, you tell them why you're grateful for them on that night, or just in general. It's great.
Wow. That's nice.
Let's make gratitude hour universal.
Yeah.
9 to 10 Eastern. Eastern Standard Time, the natural standard time of the human being.
I'm just going to start another show and just call it the Gratitude Hour.
Gratitude Hour.
And just have, just me throwing out positive vibes to people.
Exactly. You should.
All right. Meteors coming to hit the earth. You have 5 minutes left, and you have to listen to one song before everything's gone.
Ooh.
What song do you listen to?
I'm gonna have to turn around and look at my record collection. One song, I don't know. It's just I always have to bring it back to Elliott Smith. Or do I?
Hey, you can do whatever you want. It's it's my question to you, so you're the answer giver.
Okay, so I probably want something that's going to kind of calm me down a bit, and just let me sort of roll off into the. It would probably be Clementine by Elliott Smith.
Okay,
let's go with that.
All right.
It has this sort of soft, sweet, calming thing. So, just this feeling of knowing I'm going to die any second. I'd probably need something to kind of just bring me down a bit. And then just having Elliott Smith being dreadful sorry. That'd be kind of nice.
All right. So I think I know the answer to this. Us Weekly or Rolling Stone would ask the question as, who's your favorite band or artist? I think I already know the answer, but my interpretation of this question is there a band or an artist who never let you down when it came to their music? And I'm guessing I would say you're going to say Elliott Smith, but it could be different.
You know what? I actually, because here's the thing is I was born in 92. So I didn't grow up kind of experiencing Elliott Smith as he was releasing music, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of, it's sort of weird to say that he never let me down, because I wasn't really on the ride with him.
Yeah.
But I guess someone who comes to mind that every album that comes out from them, I derive a ton of meaning from, and a sense of heartfeltedness.
Goodness.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Insert correct word here.
Yes,
is David Bazan or Pedro the Lion.
Yeah.
He releases under both monikers, and every album that's come out, I have soaked up so much from every single album, and anything that he continues to release, I'm able to just pull so much satisfaction from, because he's clearly so authentic and true to himself, and not he's clearly not getting misguided by what ought to be turned in by him, and what people are expecting. He just it's you can really just smell the genuineness from a mile away. And so, he's never let me down. I'll say that.
Okay. No, that's, and I think it's very telling when it comes to, doing a show like this, talking to so many different people from different genres, that get labeled in different genres, and David comes up a lot, and Pedro the Lion comes
Really?
up a lot. And I just think that is one of those things where it's like, I wonder if he even knows, the effect that he's truly had on people when it comes to his music. Because it really, I mean, Pedro the Lion, David Bazan, it has come up. We're well over, into our episodes, probably been on at least the sixth of them. Someone has mentioned it.
Really?
Yeah. It's just, and it's crazy, that there are so many different things and so many different likes and dislikes and what people listen to. But David Bazan has come up a lot, and that's pretty cool. And, I guess I'll have to reach out to him next, but to tell him how much, he has meant to so many different people who may not have ever told him.
Yeah. You know what leads me to think, though, is that he probably does get a lot of these personal gratitude hour interactions, is that he often, when he tours, he does living room tours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just him or maybe just him and a partner, like a musical partner. And they'll just put it out there to people in different cities across the United States. Like, hey, do you have a living room that we could perform in? And so the level of connection from artist to fan in those situations is so intense. He finishes his set and then you're 2 feet away from him. You can literally just go up and start talking to him. But these bigger bands that get on these stages with barricades, they just play their show and then they go back to a green room. And I feel like for them, it's probably to a large degree lacking this sense of immediate kind of fan gratitude, where someone can approach you, an intimacy where someone can approach you and tell you how much your music means to them.
Yeah, the heartfeltedness that we try.
So it is heartfeltedness.
I don't know. I just try to see how it sounded when I said it again in another proper sentence, but yeah, I still don't know what it is.
It's like an indoor mini golf course. Like the material you're putting on, they gauge the feltedness of
probably
the felt. But what's something cool that Dave Bazan did too during the pandemic is he did these weekly live streams. And there it was just him in his basement or something. And there was a chat that was open. So he would finish the song and then you could kind of type something in, ask a question or whatever. And he would address you by name and answer your question. That would never happen at a live show, presumably ever, right? Because, there's going to be a lot of kind of audience noise. And yeah, I just thought that was so special. He's just someone who really, I think, has a grasp on why people connect with music so intensely, and the fact that his audience is a very dedicated audience who is deeply wound in his musical catalog.
Oh yeah, I mean his audience, I've seen Pedro the Lion 3 times, and I mean his audience it's one of those things. Sometimes I sit back and watch the audience more, just because it's wow, they are this is it. He's got them in the palm of his hand. He could do or say whatever he wants, and it's yeah, he's got them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me figure out one more thing about you. Is there a type of music? I mean, you already said you listen to electronic music a lot, but is there
alt rock,
and let's not forget that. But is there something that you listen to that someone would be really surprised? Someone who listens to your band and be like, "Wow, I'm really surprised he listens to that." People call it guilty pleasures, but we kind of got rid of that moniker.
I listen to a lot of really exhilarating jazz music. Maybe that would be
all right.
Alarming to some. There's a band called Sons of Kemet that is just absolutely fantastic. It's a really exciting, fast-paced jazz music. Sons of Kemet, Kemet.
All right, cool.
I feel like that would be someone would hear that and would. Although, it is kind of frenetic and I don't know, some of our music sort of reflects that intensity, but I also listen to a lot of like really just experimental, wacky music. There's this project called Cluster that I was talking to someone about today. It's like these two guys, I think it was like in the 80s or something. They did this live experimental set where they just had instruments and items like strewn around this stage and we're just interacting with them. And it's honestly horrifying. It sounds really scary.
So is improv?
Yeah. But it's on vinyl. It's really, yeah. I have to be in a very specific mood to listen to it. And also that kind of like music Jesus friend that I have, Jordan, also showed me that record.
Okay.
So, thanks, Jordan.
A lot of shout outs today. My favorite one's Tony V so far.
Tony V.
So one of my last questions will be, we're going to come in on our time limit here, so I don't keep you forever. Mm-hmm. Do you have a moment in your life that was just supported by music or just played to music, like a very special moment in your life that music played a part in? It's almost like, how people say they have a soundtrack to their life. Do you have a soundtrack to a moment where music was just like, you'll never forget this moment because of the music that was there?
Whoa, that's hard. I feel like there's been a lot of those moments, but just have to try to like pinpoint one.
Yeah. I'll say one word. You say the first thing that comes to your mind. Fist. Like,
5-finger death punch.
Okay, there you go. So it was surrounded by 5-finger death punch, and
oh God, yeah. I mean, the first year that I moved out to university, I was living in this really rough part of town, and that was kind of like when I was having this like super musical discovery period. I don't know why this memory is snapping into my mind. It's not even really particularly related to the question you asked, but I was listening to Neutral Milk Hotels in the airplane over the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this part at the end of one of the songs where there's like an instrument. It's like it's like a harmonica or something. But at the end of the song, it goes like, and it suddenly stops and goes into the next song. And I was on the bus, and like right at that moment, the bus like almost got into an accident and like slammed on the brakes perfectly in time with that like instrument coming in and getting louder and louder and then stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like thrown forward in my seat to the tune of that random instrument. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, but it was a distinct
There's a distinct memory around music.
Was involved like with my life and like a potentially near-death experience.
Yeah, but you just remembered it. So see, we got it. We got there. It wasn't 5-finger death punch. It was Neutral Milk Hotel.
No, I've never listened to 5-finger death punch in my life. You just said fist.
Yeah. No, listen, hey, it was just the first word that came to my mind. I don't know why, but we're going to move on from that.
I feel like Rage Against the Machine. I feel like Rage Against the Machine uses the word fist a lot. That'd be a fun drinking game. Listen to Rage Against the Machine's discography from front to back. And every time he says fist, you have to take a shot. And every time he says, oh, you got to take a shot. And
I'm already drunk and I haven't turned it on yet.
Yeah. Anytime he says, bring that shit in, you got to take a shot.
Wow. Okay. Now we're coming up with a drinking
podcast idea.
There it is. I mean, after the chess match, yeah.
Rage Against the
chess match. There it is.
That's my dad's band.
All right. So first, I just want to say thank you for being here before we get into our final question of the day. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been.
So I'd like to give you this opportunity right now, Connor, to tell everybody how to find out what you're doing, how to find all June Body stuff to throw out there for everybody. All your Insta pages or whatever. I know Facebook and Instagram and all those shit's down today. So when you hear this, it won't be down still.
It is. It's not like I'm trying to promote my alt rock album or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, for crying out loud, it just came out.
You can find June Body on Google. We're on Google. It's great. We're at June Body Band on Instagram. And you can listen to our music on any streaming platform. Doesn't matter what you use, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal. Well, because I think Deezer is French, right? It's a French platform.
Yeah.
So
Deezer.
Tu peux trouver June Body sur Deezer.
For our French audience.
Yeah, for our French audience. And if you would like to purchase our album or download it or buy physical copies, you can go to junebody.bandcamp.com. We also released a mini documentary series following us and our recording process throughout the making of our new album, Never Here for Long. So if you look up June Body on YouTube, you can find those 3 episodes on there.
Awesome. So that's how you find it, everybody. We'll also give you some links to follow too when we air. So we're going to come into our ending session here. This is our weekly threes. I'd like to know if there's 3 things you're listening to right now that you'd like people to check out. I mean, it could be an audiobook that you're listening to. It could be music. It could be a podcast. But 3 things you're listening to as an artist that you'd like people to check out.
Yeah. The first thing would be a live album. I think it's a live album from Kevin Devine out of Brooklyn.
Yep.
And the album is called Matter of Time 2. And it's a live album of a bunch of really like rockin' renditions of songs from his catalog. And it includes a Nirvana cover of School as well. That's killer.
No recess. No recess.
As only Kevin Devine can do.
Yeah. He does it well. Nirvana's tough to cover. He really does it well. Stuff I'm listening to. God, that's hard. Well, can it be something I read? Or it's only listening?
It's only listening with your ears. We're an audible
only
show.
Listening. Okay, well, admittedly, like I don't really listen to a lot of audiobooks or podcasts. So can it just be music stuff?
It can be straight music. I just said if there's something you've listened to with your ears, I always go music, but you know.
Okay. I've been listening to the new Kings of Convenience album. That's just absolutely beautiful. Amazing guitar arpeggios, vocal harmonies. They're like the modern day Simon and Garfunkel, but sadder. They're called Kings of Convenience. The new album's Peace or Love.
Okay.
And then I've also been listening a lot to some new singles from a band called Howdy out of Texas, spelled Hovvdy. I'm pretty sure it's Howdy and not Havvdy.
Heartfeltedness.
Heartfeltedness. They're great. I think they have a new album. Actually, the album might have come out, but the new singles are great.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Good 3 for this week. My 3 for this week are in no particular order. Promise of Redemption, for anybody that knows the band Valencia, Shane Henderson. It's like a side project, really good. Very good to have in the background after a lot of the stuff that I have been recently seeing live. So this was a really good step back. Number 2 is Banner Pilot, an album called Souvenir. They're Minnesota melodic punk band. Really good. And last but not least, a band called The Obsessives out of Washington, D.C. 2 guys, alt rock type music for you to check out. But yeah, that's my 3 for this week. Again, Connor, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been awesome. I'm glad we got around to talking and being with each other.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
This was all my pleasure. Really appreciate what you're doing as an artist. Tell you right now. And when I found it a couple of years ago on Bandcamp, I'm glad that we're back around and you just released a new album. So this is awesome too. There's perfect timing for all of us. But thank you so much for everything you do and for the hours of enjoyment your music has given me.
Yeah, and I deeply appreciate what you're doing, lifting up artists, especially people who are, emerging, try to get some traction. People like you are incredibly important. So thank you.
Well, all I say is if we can bring you one fan, that's my first
a win.
Yeah, that's my first initial goal. So bring you one, and then we'll get you more as we keep going. So, but everyone out there, you know what your job is to do right now. It's to go out, listen to June Body, and have a great fucking time.
Identify me now, along with this flesh and blood, enough to pull me under. No science to tell me why or how, and there's ashes at my door. Crazy how every good thing feels like some reprieve. So now I'll sing that I don't deserve this punishment today.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.